Hey you guys, what's up? What's up? James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I would make another video, and this time we're gonna address why I think it's okay to actually date your coworkers. Yeah, please like and subscribe. I would love your support, and I would love actually your comments on this topic. I know for a fact that most of the time there's this negative stigma about not dating your coworkers, not causing trouble where you work, things like that. But there are plenty of people that have actually explored dating and, actually marrying their coworkers, and things worked out. In fact, I know quite a bit of people that it worked out for the best. So I just want to explore maybe 4 reasons why I actually personally think it's a good idea to actually explore the idea of dating and potentially marrying a coworker. All right, so let's start with number 1, and that is that they are familiar with you and you are actually familiar with that person as well. I do know that there was a lady that I really admired at one of my jobs some years ago, and I actually had the opportunity to take her out more than once. But one of the things I enjoyed about spending time with her is that she already knew that I was a Christian. She already knew what to expect from me if we were to connect together. Now, unfortunately, she didn't really care for, my faith. She was religious as well, but she kind of had a different take on faith and things like that. So I think that she felt that my faith would actually interfere with her life and things like that. Now, which is unfortunate, and I'm not gonna, say anything negative about her, but I think it's a good thing that she was familiar that as a Christian, I wasn't going to be in those environments of, partying and clubbing and using profanity, expletives, doing this crazy stuff. So she was aware already from jump that that wasn't going to be our lifestyle. That was not going to be in our future. So I think I respect that, but I think it's a good thing that a person can actually spend time with you to some capacity, being at the same facility, workplace, and actually get to see how you behave, what your work ethics look like. How do you express yourself? How do you respond when there's a disagreement, when something's happening? You're getting to see that person, how they respond, and they get to see how you respond. So to me, it's an advantage. It's really something that we don't get to see if we're trying to date somebody and we don't get to see them as often. I think it's actually an advantage. So I'm not saying that everyone needs to start dating their coworkers, but I'm saying we shouldn't throw it out. I think it's one of the biggest advantages that I'm going to list here is that you actually get to see who the person is, how they behave. For me, I've been working with children for over 20 years, and I've had front row seats to see just about every coworker that I've ever worked with, how they behave with children, what their patience looks like. Are they okay with changing diapers? Are they okay with, being corrected by a supervisor or the director of a facility or school? How do they, handle 14 children or 20 children? How do they behave? Do they have a really good work ethic? So I think it's really important just to be able to take a front row seat and be able to see what the person is actually doing. So in my opinion, that's a plus to me. I would love the opportunity to actually get to see how the person I'm thinking about spending my life with, how they behave when they're in the work environment. So I'm not saying you need to work directly with them. You guys can be across the hall. You guys can even be at the same school or facility or company and not see each other that often, but at least you'll get an idea of how they behave and what their work ethic looks like, because that is foundational for what they're going to be like in a relationship and how they're going to handle stress and challenges and trials in a relationship. Number 2, I would say that you guys have something in common. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I've been working with children for over 20 years. If I'm working with a teacher that is a director, assistant director, they're a teacher, supervisor in some capacity, or an assistant teacher or whatever, I'm getting to see how they behave all the time. And so it's really good. But the central thing that we have in common is that we're actually going to the same facility, or we at least have to practice the same ideas or things. But the idea is that we are essentially moving towards the same idea or goal at the end of the day. For example, I'll use myself as an example again. If I'm working with children and the goal is to make sure that the children are safe, make sure that they enjoy themselves, whether we are playing soccer, we're out on the field, we are telling stories, reading stories, playing with toys and blocks, we're teaching math, we're teaching science. Think about that. You potentially have somebody working towards the same thing. Even if it's somebody on a construction site, even if it's somebody working for setting up movie sets and things like that. But at least you're in the same field and you have an idea of what to expect from the person. But what I love is just you have the same goals. If the idea is to shoot those music videos, you're in the same environment and you have the same goal to make sure that this music video is done correctly. If you're a teacher, you want to make sure that obviously the children are safe, that they're having fun, and that you're teaching them, So the idea to me is it's really simple. You have the same goals in the work environment. To me, that's a plus as well. Number 3, I think really just goes along with number 2 a little bit, and that is that you get to sort of cultivate a better work ethic because you're in the same field, so you get to kind of sharpen one another up. Think about it. I'll use myself again as an example. I'm a teacher, and maybe she's a teacher, or she's in this field at this facility, and we are still trying to make sure the children are enjoying themselves, learning, and things like that. Well, the idea is maybe when we are texting or calling each other or even spending time with each other outside of work, we can actually discuss how we can get better at our job. You know, she can give me ideas about things that maybe I'm not seeing, or maybe I can give her ideas about things that she's not seeing. I may tell her, hey, I'm very good at working with the children because I tell stories in a certain way. And so I can teach her that, and then she can implement that in her classroom, or vice versa. Maybe she's saying, hey, I noticed that it's really easy to instruct the children when it comes to math or science by using this, I don't know, these visual aids. Well, then that could help me in my classroom as well. So that idea or that premise, that can be implemented in all sorts of environments at different jobs if you think about how it aligns with whatever field you're in. Like I said, you could be shooting music videos, you could be shooting movies, it doesn't matter, but you're in the same environment. You guys can sharpen one another and give feedback to each other and kind of cultivate a more richer work ethic. Yeah, overall, and this is number 4, the idea is really to be able to support one another, but you think about it, you're able to have the same goals, you get to see the person and get to connect with them at their level, wherever that level is, but you also get to kind of grow with them if you're in the same environment. And let's say, for example, you're at a facility, and I don't know, let's say it's a restaurant, and both of you guys are at a facility and you're at a restaurant, and the lady decides, well, she's going to move up to somewhere else. At least you guys have that foundation where, you know, you guys were able to, at that time, connect with one another, and she's still familiar with that environment, and you can still update her on what's going on. She can give you feedback, but the idea really is that there's a lot of advantages to actually connecting with somebody that you work with. Now, I'm not talking about the scenarios in which somebody becomes obsessive. I'm not talking about the scenarios where somebody becomes a stalker and they're interfering with your job. I know that happens to people. I'm perfectly aware that a lot of, you know, craziness can happen on the job when people connect together. But if we really think about it as human beings, that happens regardless. Even if we're not working with each other, you can still develop a stalker from a past relationship, from a guy that maybe he was working 50 miles away from you and he still became a stalker. So I think there's a negative stigma about dating people that you're actually working with, and it doesn't have to be negative, you know. I think it's beautiful even when celebrities in the past that have actually connected with one another because they worked on a project together and their relationships are going strong. I'm not talking about all celebrities. We know how Hollywood can be a little all over the place when it comes to their relationships. I'm aware of that. But it's really important just to not look at this as a negative stigma. I think there's a lot of negative ideas that are always being circulated about the idea of really just trying to date somebody that, you know, you're working with. And I think that there are a lot of advantages, not disadvantages. And maybe it's because I've been working with children for as long as I have that I see it as a blessing. I see it as a good thing that you get to actually see who the person is at the core of who they are. Just from working with children, you get to see so many different things, their love, their passion, their interests, their strengths, their weaknesses. You get to see everything in these environments. And if you really pay attention, you can see a lot of those things in other environments as well, in other jobs. So hope this was helpful. God bless you guys. Take care. Peace. And I'll see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe.